I've gone a long way, but now, my fellow countrymen, once again, and my fellow citizens, I bring you to my closing remarks. As we often live in the present, and we also look to the future, it becomes much easier to forget our history throughout the progression of time. But I do believe that this is the scope of the present and near past, and it will be studied for generations and generations from now. They will ask the same questions that we ask about those that have lived before us. How did they endorse slavery? How did they allow a newspaper man to sell them into the Spanish-American War? How did they allow women to have virtually no rights? How did they condone the slaughter of thousands of Native Americans? How did they actively pursue laws to keep blacks from succeeding? How did they fight a war against their northern or southern brother? Why did they ravage all of Latin America for the business interest? Why did they fight the Vietnam War over a staged event that turned out to be a lie? These questions we ponder today in classrooms, in boardrooms, and in the legislative halls. But what will the people of history say about us? How did they condone an American empire that invades countries for resources and actively undermines every country in the world? How could they have been lied to Iraq twice in 13 years? How could they have allowed their children to eat the disgusting food that makes them obese, sickly, and almost guaranteed to have cancer in their lifetimes? How could they have allowed trillions of dollars to be siphoned off to private banks from their own public treasury? How could they have arrested millions of people because they were sick and abused drugs? How could they have believed that 5 guys in caves who make videotapes inhibit the greatest country in the world to invade the world, militarize society, and take the individual freedoms and liberties of all citizens? How could they have succumbed to the belief that government can provide anything when there is a $14 trillion debt? How could they have still supported the government when they placed radio chips in their passports, listened in on their phone conversations, incarcerated them without trial, tracked their searches on the internet, kept watch over them with surveillance drone planes, tracked them with national ID cards, and all with the belief that it's for the bearded men and their causes? How could they have allowed public money to flow to the private corporations, not for the betterment of society, but to the benefit of the elite few while the public suffers a loss? How could they have allowed a man with a catchy name and a catchphrase to continue the same policies of war, debt, and pseudo-terror threats carried on for the previous 50 years? How could they have let the power concentrate in the hands of the few that pull the puppet strings from afar? How could they have subscribed to the ludicrous idea that there was any fundamental difference between Democrats, Republicans, liberals, and conservatives? How could they have not seen the expansive, inflationary monster, Leviathan, that was their state? How? That is not a question that they will ask of Liberty in Exile. We are the dissenters in this cliff-bound vehicle. We do not subscribe to the status quo that will prove destructive to humanity and liberty. We are the opposition to the villainous tyranny that will be a stain upon history. We bring you dissent, truth, and liberty every Friday at 10 a.m. from CGLO in Montreal, Quebec. Stay true to yourselves, and may the light guide you towards the truth.